Alright guys, this is the IBEX 450 and this is going to be my quick review. That is, can we get out that side? I don't think we can. Okay, so this is my quick review because I've got about roughly 30-minute ride on it, 15 miles, so not even that. And really what I want to see is I want to compare it to my DRZ in power and weight, and I want to turn around. I want to head the other way because there's nothing this way. Now I'm on the north side of Indianapolis, so if you're familiar with it, there is no curvy roads, nothing fun. It is just squares. I gotta say, I do love even the stock exhaust note. Sounds good. It's a little throaty thing. We'll try. You know what, let's move this up. We'll start in the up position. Now this bike has got 1 mile on it. Brand new. There we go. Typical drivers. Third gear right there. We're gonna get to this roundabout and we're gonna head left out of it, head north. I'm 6'2", and I see what they're saying about cramped. My knees are definitely out of bend. I don't know, something like a 33-inch inseam. Nobody makes 33-inch inseam pants, so it's somewhere between 32 and 34. But definitely cramped. I'm not uncomfortable, you know. Obviously this isn't going to be a long ride, so you know, take this review with a grain of salt. It's a little bit windy. I was kind of wondering, I'm getting buffeted by the wind, but I don't think it's the windscreen's fault. I think the wind is just coming in at an angle. Can't see anything out of this mirror. There we go, that's better. Better. I mean, honestly, standing up is not terrible. Once we head left out of here, it should open up just a little bit. Is easy to read. Stand up on it here. So the seat is kind of right at my knees. I think the rally seat would be what I would do. And you know, from just kind of looking online, it looks like that's kind of the recommendation of everybody else as well that's running my height. Let's crank this bad boy down. Okay, that hits me hits me right in the visor of my helmet with it down. And that, okay, so with it down, it hits kind of like right in the center of the visor. With it up, it's hitting like right at the top of my visor. I love the exhaust sound. I don't know that I would say it accelerates any faster than a DRZ. I don't think so. It's honestly, it's very, very similar to the DRZ acceleration. Maybe a touch slower. I mean, now this engine is not broken. I kind of feel bad even just doing that. But I don't know that it's faster than my DRZ. My DRZ is just a 3x3 JD Jet kit, and that's it, right? I don't have a pipe on it. It's just JD Jet kit and a 3x3 mod. I think the DRZ would pull away from this in straight line acceleration. Super smooth engine. I love that little blip of the throttle, just blip, blip. It's kind of got a little pop to it every once in a while out the back. I should have brought an external mic, put it in my back pocket. Oh, you might have noticed that. You might have heard the jerkiness of the throttle, which I've read about. That was second gear. And, you know, it was just when I was just barely getting on it. And look at, that's a lot of play, if you ask me. Look at that throttle play, quite a bit. So, if you're watching this, this is probably not your first 450 review. And you know that the throttle is kind of touchy. They say to adjust the slack out of it. I'm trying to decide, okay, if the rally seat, you know, would that lift me up enough? Because my feet are almost back, like on a sport bike position is what I would say that it feels like. Again, not necessarily uncomfortable, but certainly different than my DRZ. You know, I'm used to, you know, legs basically going straight down. And when I stand up, my knees are like right here. Hopefully that shows. Just right at the top of the seat. You know, honestly, if I like pinch in, my knees are probably, yeah, right, like almost identical, dead even with the seat. I thought this thing said smile. It says 5 miles. The bike's got 5 miles on it. I was like, oh wow, telling me to smile. It is smooth, so smooth. And now I'm not riding bikes. You guys have seen my videos, likely. I'm not riding bikes like I think I'm gonna die tomorrow and I gotta get it all in today. So, you know, the acceleration that I say is probably same, maybe slightly slower than a DRZ. That's not a deal breaker. Let's go in here. All right, I just want to stop and kind of feel how the bike feels without creeping out a person. I just want to kind of stop, put my feet down. Obviously I'm 6'2", I'm not going to have a problem putting my feet down, but I just kind of want to lean it side to side, see what I think. Let's see, you know what, we're going to put this down. Let's give you a look at the bike. All right, so this is blue and white. I know a lot of people take off the pink. I don't really care. I don't know. I think it kind of gives it, you know, some personality. I think it's part of the bike. I don't hate it. I do personally. I think I personally like the gray more, but also I think gray is kind of boring. I gotta say that's a good sounding exhaust. All right, let's look at this. Oh my goodness, it feels so lightweight. It feels lighter weight than my DRZ. You know, this thing weighs 120 pounds more. Yeah, you know, it certainly weighs more. Now, you're off-road and you're not going to be sure-footed. You know, if you misplace your foot, you're going to drop it. But you're going to drop most bikes if you misplace your foot. So one of the bikes, actually let's talk about that turn. That turn was very comfortable. I wasn't a super tight turn, but it was very comfortable. See this jerkiness at low throttle? I'm trying to just be right on the verge of giving it throttle, so you know, I wouldn't be surprised by that. And a lot of people, that's probably what they're feeling. You know, it's just part of it, you know, because when you're right on the beginning of the throttle body opening, like I kind of feel like it's gonna be that way. I mean, it gets up and goes just fine. It does sound good. All right, there's so much wind noise. I hope it's not affecting the microphone too much. It is just kind of breezy today. The brakes are grabby. They're good. I haven't even touched the rear brake. Feels good. No complaints. Trash control on off. I've not played with that. What do we got to do here? Hold it down. Okay, so hold it down and you can see it says off-road. Let's see. Let's try it again. I don't know if it's supposed to go on or off. I just don't know enough about it. But you can switch on the fly. You don't have to stop. From what I've read online, when you turn the bike off, you've got to remember to turn traction control back off if you don't want that. Now that takes off, as I understand it, traction control and your rear ABS, front ABS, to my knowledge, stays on. Kind of the normal, you know, pushing to cancel the turn signals. Little baby horn. I would say, you know, this, well, there goes some plastic off the keychain. I would say if you want a bike that is going to light your hair on fire, this is not it. But honestly, like if you're new to riding, if you're new to the adventure riding market, this would be an excellent bike. I would not buy a DRZ over this bike if I was buying brand new. I can't, you know, especially the new one, you know, it's basically 10 grand. This is 6,500 bucks. We'll see what they say out the door prices. Let's see how funny they want to be. Typically out the door price on these from my research can be anywhere from the MSRP, you know, depending on the dealership, which is $64.99, to, I say out the door, you know, they're gonna have taxes and stuff, right? Let's say taxes, okay. And I've seen the high end, people are saying 8,500. I talked to this dealership at a motorcycle convention like 2 months ago here in Indianapolis, and they said 8,300 out the door, and they were going to give me a CF Moto generator that I didn't want, that had a $300, you know, $300 or $400 value, and I would say you keep that and just give me the $300 or $400 off the out the door price. I don't want the generator. Yeah, the jerkiness, I totally see it. So third gear, 5,000 RPM is 37. So braking, you're not supposed to go above 4,000 RPM. So we're 6th gear. I'm not going to be able to even get it there behind this truck. Oh, there's a Ruckus. Or not a Ruckus. Zuma? No, Ruckus. All right, so 4,000 RPM in 4th is 35 miles an hour roughly. 4,000 RPM 5th is 41 miles an hour. So it's going to be a long 600 miles for braking. This, I would say the transmission honestly is a little notchy. Now I'm comparing it against a 11,000 mile DRZ that's well broken. Boy, it likes the road. Like, it takes the road up. Now, obviously, I'm not taking this off-road. So we're just gonna have to go with other people's reviews of it's nice. These look incredibly cheap, and I've seen videos where people drop them and they just instantly break. That's not gonna support anything in a real fall. I don't really have complaints. I really don't. I would have to make it better for me as a tall rider. A lot of people roll these bars forward, and that's supposed to help. It's enough, like acceleration wise, like it's enough for me. Like I ride in the country at 40 miles an hour. Like, it's okay. I mean, my knees fit like basically perfect with the tank, where it naturally, goes out. I don't think this is all tank. I think it's all plastic, but very smooth, as everybody else has said. Would this be enough power, or would I be bored, or would it not be different enough from the DRZ? So 6th gear, 4,000 RPM is 45 miles an hour. Favorite thing about this bike is the exhaust tone so far. I wish it was a little more powerful, I gotta say. I wonder what, putting a pipe on it would do. And also after braking, would a pipe wake this up a little bit? I didn't even think about the stiff suspension. People are saying that they're stiff. I mean, again, needs broken in, and I heard they get better and better as they go. It probably is stiff, but it's no stiffer than my reworked suspension on my DRZ. So it's not bad. It probably depends on what kind of experience you have, what kind of bikes you've ridden. But like, I didn't even notice it until I just said something about it, because I was like, oh yeah, people said that, the suspension's stiff. All right, guys, there it is. Here's your Monday motoring review of the IBEX. Hopefully it's a little different, comparing it basically to my DRZ. Let me know what you guys think. All right, guys, so I wanted to take a little bit of time to kind of put my thoughts together as far as the IBEX 450. When I got back from the test ride, even though it was a short test ride, I wasn't overwhelmed by it thinking, oh my gosh, I've got to have this bike. And ultimately, with me having my DRZ400S from 2007, it is not different enough for me to justify buying that bike. I wouldn't buy it. Yeah, like I wouldn't buy it and keep the DRZ. I wouldn't sell the DRZ and buy the bike. I just wouldn't buy it. Their out the door price was $8,600, which is very high. You can see those bikes go on the forums all the time for $7 to $8 grand on just every day. You may have to drive a few hours, but if I have to drive 4 hours one way and 4 hours back to save $1,500, that would be okay. Like I'm not against that. My thoughts on it are this. Like, these are the pros over my DRZ. It's fuel injected. So when I go out to Colorado, even going down to Tennessee, like I just keep my jetting that I'm on in Indiana, and it's definitely down on power. So you wouldn't have that problem.
but it takes maybe 20, 30 minutes to change the jets on the DRZ, and then there's no problem at all. The next benefit is that it's tubeless tires. You know, that would be nice because you wouldn't have to have all the tire tools that I carry when I'm on my DRZ on an adventure. You know, basically a patch kit and a compressor, or, you know, CO2 inflator, whatever you want to do. And the last thing where it would be better than the DRZ is it's better on the highway. It is smooth, and my understanding is, you know, you can run, you know, 90 miles an hour, maybe even 100 miles an hour. I don't ride that way anyway, and it would be fine. Whereas the DRZ would be breathing really hard. And with knobbies on the DRZ, you know, I don't like running really higher than about 60, 65. Like it's just I have no desire, and it kind of, you know, it kind of wanders with the knobbies. So that being said, I think the bike is a great bike. I think it'd be an excellent bike. The only thing really cheap on it that I saw were like the bark busters. They're garbage. You know, those are $3 parts, you know, from the factory on there. So that would have to be replaced immediately. I was also surprised about how thin. Now it's got a double frame, you know, that's connected to the engine, but those front frame rails, you know, on the front side are maybe the diameter of my finger. Like they look really, really small. And I'm thinking, like, you know, even with crash bars on this thing, you know, that's a lot of stress, and laying that down. And I'm kind of nitpicking here, right? Like it's probably fine. You know, obviously I'm sure they test it and know that I can handle strength. But, you know, if I'm trying to look for anything, you know, that I noticed on it, I'm just being honest with you, there's a lot of influencers out there that absolutely love the IBEX 450. And unfortunately, I don't think there's many of those moto vloggers that you can trust, because they're given these bikes and they need to give good reviews if they want to continue their career and being given bikes or get bikes for testing and stuff. So I kind of take the popular vloggers, we all know, you know, basically who they are. I take it with a grain of salt. I am not given anything. I buy everything. And I went there really liking this bike. Like I expected me to be like, oh my gosh, this is it. And so, like, you know, I'm interested in this bike, I'm interested in the Transalp, I'm interested in the T7, and my thought was I wouldn't get rid of my DRZ. I would keep it because it's got a very specific job that it's very good at. The only thing it's not good at is the highway, and that's not where I want to ride anyway. So it's a very good bike. I wanted to fall in love with this thing. You know, under acceleration, I think my DRZ would pull it and be faster. The DRZ, I think, would be easier to wheelie, honestly, without the clutch, just with the proper technique. And you guys have seen my wheelies. They're hot garbage, so it's not like I know the proper technique. Now, I have seen videos of people clutch up in the IBEX 450, so I'm sure it would do a wheelie, but I guess internally, I just wanted a little more power, like a little more oomph, you know, to the bike, a little more acceleration. It did feel lighter than my bike because the weight is so low and you're sitting so low. My bike, you know, again, like I said, I'm 6'2", and my DRZ is very tall, especially after springing it 490 pounds. You know, I'm now, you know, kind of on the balls of my foot, you know, touching, whereas before I sprung it, I could flat-foot it on my DRZ. You know, so the IBEX 450 feels very comfortable with that low seat. And my legs were bent, and it felt very much like a crotch rocket sitting position. So I'm sure I would need the taller seat, but it was very comfortable. I mean, again, that was a short ride. Like I'm not even going to edit this. This is the entire ride. There's no reason to edit it. So take what I'm saying with a grain of salt. But me personally, already having a DRZ, I would not buy the IBEX 450. Now, if you did not have a bike and you wanted to buy a brand new bike instead of a $3,500 DRZ like I did, then I do think the IBEX would be a great buy. You know, especially when you're comparing it to the DRZ400S, that's going to be 10 grand basically before tax, title, fees, all that. There's also the 390R that's coming out. That's going to be interesting. We'll see how that pans out. But the DRZ, the old DRZ, the carbureted DRZ is honestly so good. I haven't found a bike that does what I want to do better, that I would, you know, get rid of it. I haven't, and it kind of kills me. So I'm interested to ride next the 2025 T7 and see how I feel, and see if that gives that extra, you know, power burst that I'm kind of looking for, and really think more about the weight on that bike. You know, does it feel more similar to the DRZ? You know, I kind of feel the DRZ feels top heavy because it's such a tall bike. So after that ride home, I was just really kind of thinking about it and thinking about what I wanted to talk about. So in the end, do I think it's probably a good bike? Yeah, I think it's probably a good bike. But it is just not good enough that if you already own a DRZ400 and you like it, I don't know why you would buy the 450. The only thing it does better is the highway. You know, if you're messing with jets a bunch, okay. You know, tubeless tires, that's nice, okay. But it's just not enough. I've not yet had a flat with my tube tires. So there you go. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed it. If this helped you out, give it a thumbs up. Think about subscribing if you'd like, and keep the conversation going. Again, I'm not talking bad about the bike. I think it's probably a fine bike, but it's just not good enough for me already owning a bike that I would buy one. So there you go.